What's up, you guys? In today's video, I'm going to be bringing you my review of the re-release of Rebel from Pete and Pedro. This was their re-release due to them thinking it's not quite strong enough. Now, Pete and Pedro did send this to me for review, but that has nothing to do with my thoughts on this fragrance or what I tell you guys about it today. But yeah, let's get into it. So right off rip, some of you guys are going to be aware that this is going to be inspired by a fragrance that is called Creed Aventus, which is right here. It's loosely inspired, I guess I would say. It's not a direct clone of it, but you definitely get the similarities there. Pretty much primarily in the opening. The major difference in the opening for me with this fragrance is that the pineapple is there, but it's dialed back. It's much more of a realistic bergamot than it is a realistic pineapple. They did blend the pineapple and bergamot very well with this, along with, I think it's the nutmeg that's there, so you get some of the spices that are in as well in the opening. And the heart notes and base notes, was that I will list up here, do kind of peek their head through somewhat in the opening. Now that bergamot pineapple opening, it only lasts probably around 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes. And then the rest of the fragrance kind of starts to show up. Now once that opening has kind of gone away, that's really when the Creed Aventus inspiration kind of goes away as well. And for the first 30 to 45 minutes, going into an hour, it does have that nice, fresh Aventus style DNA. And like I said, once it kind of gets past that, it starts to turn into much more of a creamier, smoother fragrance, which is still very enjoyable, but it's not Creed Aventus. So before we hop on this, just know that the opening is a great inspired by Creed Aventus fragrance. But it does change. It does change, not into a worse fragrance, it just changes into a different fragrance. It has a bit of a sweeter dry down than my Creed Aventus does. My Creed has a very vanilla heavy dry down. I don't get any vanilla with this at all in the dry down, but it's still very masculine, it's very nice. The juicy bergamot and juicy pineapple really dial back about the first 30 to 45 minutes. But the bergamot kind of stays around and kind of lingers. That scent, that fruity scent does kind of linger, but it turns into much more of an undertone than anything. Now in terms of projection, the first hour of this is going to be beating off your skin. It's going to be reaching others. The first hour of this fragrance is where all my compliments came from, where everyone that smelled me just has something positive to say about my fragrance. And like I said before, I think the compliment factor for most of these fragrances come from these sweet notes or these sweet nuances that come from these fragrances. And with this having that sweet pineapple, that sweet bergamot in the opening, it brings in compliments. And then in the dry down, you get more of a creamy sweet fragrance, which also brings in compliments. But the bit here that is not quite the best is going to be the projection of this fragrance in the dry down area, in the 2 to 4 hour range of time frame of wearing this. At about the 4.5 to 5 hour mark is when this is really close to the skin. It's still there, but for me personally, that's when, if something's sitting that close to my skin, I'm going to respray, I'm going to reapply. But there were 2 or 3 days where I did just simply reapply with this versus another fragrance. And there were some days where I just let the fragrance, give its full lifespan and kind of see how it developed. Now in the mid, you're gonna get also a bit of a spice that's there as well. It'll be way significantly less of a fruitiness that's there, but you're gonna have a spice and it's creamy and sweet. There really is a lot going on with Rebel. It's a very broad fragrance. It has its fresh qualities, it has its juicy qualities, it has its spicy qualities. It's a very well-rounded fragrance, and for it being the first fragrance from Pete and Pedro, they kind of hit all the marks with that. I'm glad that the first time that I tried this fragrance was after the reformulation, so that I didn't have to try the weaker version. I don't know how that fragrance was necessarily, but this one, like I said, in terms of it being a beast mode fragrance, not quite. This isn't going to be something that's going to blow your socks off. It's not something you're going to put on and people, block away are going to smell you. It's going to be a great opening. It's going to be a really good dry down. The only thing about this is that it doesn't last very long. Like, it lasts a decent amount of time, but not like an 8 hour fragrance. Like if you put this on in the morning before you went to work for 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours, this would be very close to the skin scent by the time that you're leaving for work if you don't reapply. Now on that note, there is one positive here that I think that the Aaron Alpha M, he has taken note from some of the reviewers in the past, is that with this fragrance he supplies a Pete and Pedro travel atomizer. Now I'm not sure if this is just for like a temporary thing, but like I said, if you're okay with reapplying and getting that fresh juicy bergamot pineapple opening, it's possible. You don't have to bring this with you. You can just simply get it out here and put it in here. But now onto the bottle design. And as you will see here, it has Rebel up top, Pedro down there with, I guess that's a little donkey up there, not really sure. Back here is me clear. Bottom here you're gonna have where it says that it is a cologne spray, 1.7 fluid ounces, and that's 50 ml. And that's from Marietta, Georgia. Go Dogs. This, if you take it off, you got a nice golden atomizer there. Turn that way. And yeah, that opening is real nice. It's very nice. If you're a fan of bergamot and you're a fan of pineapple, this opening will do it for you. But yes, for the actual scent of this fragrance, it gets a thumbs up from me. Performance, it gets a little, like, it's okay. It's okay. Like I said, I can't necessarily relate it to how it was before, but the opening is great. The performance of the opening is great. The dry down is where it starts to be not as good as I wanted it to be. But that brings us to the price of this. Now, Alpha M could easily have sold this for, you know, 150 bucks, and most people wouldn't have batted an eye at it. Some would, you know, kind of how Jeremy and Steven, way put it out, they set things about the price. This costs 50 bucks, so I mean, it's not like it's really trying to break the bank. On top of it being, you know, affordable, it's decent fragrance, it really is. And he's very open about it being inspired by Creed Aventus. Now guys, if you do want to check this out, there is a link down in the description. I would recommend this to anyone that is wanting to try Creed Aventus, but doesn't want to drop the big bucks. If they want something that, you know, has that mass appealing opening, that has a mass appealing dry down, something that's not going to be a beast mode, you know, that might not fill a room, this is something to go with. I feel like this is something that should be considered and talked about more in terms of fragrances that are inspired by Creed Aventus, just because it is that nice and appropriately priced. Say it again for everyone who missed out, there will be a link down in the description if you want to try it out. I believe it comes with this nice little travel atomizer. All in all, this fragrance gets a nice thumbs up from me. It's one that I'm going to really enjoy wearing. I have enjoyed wearing it. And people that I'm around really enjoy wearing it, especially in that opening. Guys, that is that. I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope it's been somewhat informative. And most of all, I hope you guys all have a great week. If you haven't already set your goals for the week, comment down below. Think about it a little bit. Let me know what they are. And I'll try to reference them at a video later on in the week to kind of see where you are. Guys, like I always say, keep it gent and love your scent, and I'll see you tomorrow.